Friends, family, fans, welcome back to episode 89 of Back 9 Bets. Kitty, kitty, bang, bang. No idea where that came from, but it is what it is. As always, the show off the top rope. Kitty, kitty, bang, bang. I think there was like an old movie from like the 1960s that was called Chitty, Chitty, Bang, Bang about some mad scientist who tries to like sell a bunch of inventions to pay off to restore a race car that they find. Interesting movie. Go check out the highlights or read up on Wikipedia about that. But fun times year over year on Back 9 Bets, episode 89, Kitty Kitty Bang Bang. Sponsored by Rotoballer. Brought to you by the $100 bill shirt. This is like the first time I think we've gone back to back with the $100 bill shirt. Not because we hit an outright, but basically we did in a way with EVR cashing us the lowest fourth round score for round 4, obviously. He went nuts. He was 8 under through 11 holes. If there wasn't a weather delay, we would have potentially seen a course record being set by our boy, who is a South African and repping the brand. So we appreciate EVR doing that. Wasn't even close. I think the next best score was 6 under par. Looking good. It saved our week in a big way. We were struggling on the placement sides. Freaking Minwoo Lee. We'll get to him here shortly, but it's all good. So fun fact about all of this, how I came about this is using my round 4 showdown model that we do over there at rotoballer.com. I feel like it provides you with some incredible value. You can grab it over on the premium side of things. I also sent it to people's DMs if they just retweeted it for us. So that was very friendly of everybody to do that. I appreciate those that did. Get your hands on it. 10% off using code MANIAC. Helps you. It helps me. The whole world, the whole family. You know how it goes over here on Back 9 Bets. Use the lineup optimizer if you're doing more than like 15, 20 lineups or so. Use that bad boy to get your lineups rocking and rolling. We had EVR and Jake Naap in our main Final 4 roundup there, and Tom Kim went and ruined it, along with Rory McIlroy. So we'll have to overcome the demons there, but thank God old EVR came in hot and heavy for us in the final round. So that's what's cooking over there. We had ourselves a week. We had ourselves an absolute week. So we really appreciate EVR taking care of business for us. We had Mathieu Pavon. We had, what's his name? Andrew Novak in the mix. Nothing ever really seemed to eclipse our expectations. No one really did anything. We had 2 guys in the placement market, Mathieu and Sam Ryder, plus 450 and plus 500 for top 10s, hit their ball in the water in the final hole. So shout out to them to miss our bets in that department. Mathieu could have cashed the top 5 had he birdied the hole, I think. So there was a lot going on. But hey, life goes on. We are on to the half lemonade, half sweet tea invitational over there in the Bay Hill Club and Lodge area in Orlando, Florida, where if you are looking for a course breakdown by me, go check it out in my previous episode that I do on Sunday nights, the Sunday night research stream. I go through the in-depth stats and everything we're looking for, but basically, if you're not in the mood for video, we've also got, I think, 2 course previews over at rotoballer.com, both free. Go check it out from Ian and Joe Idoni. We've got it all covered for you at Rotoballer. If you like the free stuff, jump in with us on the premium side. Use code MANIAC. All right, so that's what we're going on with here. Basically, to give you a gist of what we are doing, we're kind of rocking and rolling with ball strikers, mainly distance and accuracy off the tee, exceptional iron play, particularly out of the rough with long irons, and then we're looking for around the green play. If you can tee to green this place to death, you don't really need too many putts in order to get things rocking and rolling. So join me there in finding a bunch of flushes from tee to green to take care of business for us, and then we see what happens from then on out. Lots and lots of fun. So we see some serious people in the chat here. I don't see any comments. That's a little disappointing, but hey, we're gonna deal with it. As long as you guys are hitting that like button, as long as you subscribe to the channel, we are rocking and rolling. Let's dive into it. We've got the model. We've got it set up beautifully as always. We've got Scotty Sheffer ranked number 1 for upside for us. We have him well ahead of everybody. If he can putt this week, he's not gonna. But if he can, he's going to win this thing by a landslide. If not, he's still going to finish inside the top 10. And that's basically where we're going with Scotty Sheffer. I think we're just going to start off with him, and then we'll get to our outrights right after this. But if you go over to Bet365, jump on a Scotty Sheffer at top 10, minus 143. It's minus 140 at DK, and they don't even pay ties in full. So you can get some really good value there from Scotty Sheffer, who, by the way, is making you $904 over the last 12 months if you're betting Scotty for a top 10. That's a 46% rate of return. Scotty Sheffer finishes inside the top 10 at about a 79% clip. And we're getting minus 140 at a golf course, friends, that Scotty Sheffer's finished 15th, 1st, and 4th at the last few times he's played. So that is delightful. His last few starts since the Sony was the Century, I believe. We're going to have to make sure that this is correct. What is going on over here? Boom Chakalaka fixed it all up. So there's the Century, 5th at the Century, 6th at Pebble, 3rd at the Waste Management Phoenix Open, and then a top 10 at the Genesis Invitational. Something wild is absolutely going on here. I'm like 2 viewers away from 100 views. Like there's 100 of you guys in the freaking chat. I don't know what on earth is going on. Things are popping over here on Back 9 Bets. So I appreciate every single one of you, all 99 of you now, for being in the hizzy. Oh my God, I'm going to take a screenshot of this. This is unbelievable. Unreal. Sorry about this. This is like, I'm actually like shaking right now. This is crazy, crazy situations here. Cool. Well, let's get to it. So Scotty Sheffer, as you can see, the recent form is fantastic. The course the course history, the track record of top 10s, all delightful stuff for Scotty Sheffer. Go grab yourself a minus 143 over at Bet365. It's a 58% implied probability. He does it at a casual 79% of the time. So to me, that's some serious, serious love for Sheffer. Hopefully we can rock and roll in that department. Cool bananas. Let's dive into some outrights now. Then we'll get into the placements in a little bit. Our first guy, our very first number is a 35-1 Willie Z ticket. If you take a look at Will Zalatoris, he is delightfully appealing for this golf course. I did a little bit of manual editing because he wanted to show up like 34th, 35th in the model based off some really shit results that we had back in the Sony Open Hawaii swing. But hey, life goes on for him. If we take a look at what he's been up to over the last little while, we got a 10th place finish here, and then we've got 2 really mediocre situations, but he might have been injured. He wasn't playing the best golf. I feel like if you can get a situation like the Farmers, get a situation like the Genesis, where he's finished 2nd and 13th this year and played typically very well, we can expect him to do good things with the driving and ball striking situation. Yeah. If you take a look at what Willie Z's been up to in that department, we've got lots to like about his game. He's 19th in the field in 2024 in ball striking. Remember, we had a horrific Sony and some really bad results starting off the year. So those can easily have skewed his stuff a bit sideways. We can expect some much better performance from Willie Z. He's really starting to move in the right direction. I'm excited for him. 35-1 is a freaking amazing number. I think you can't go wrong if you can grab yourself a 35. We pop those in the Rotoballer Discord every Monday morning. So if you are scared of having your situation land up moving on you and only being able to get the 28s and the 25s that are out there now, jump in the Rotoballer Discord for 10% off using code MANIAC, and we will get you in the closing line value world of wonders. So that's what Willie Z is up to. We also kind of tempted to bet him top 5 at plus 500 because that's the only market over the last 12 months that he's been profitable in. We've also got an outright on him, so you might as well just bet that too. So Willie Z top 5 is also going to be on the card. I think it's kind of like a mini hedge. As long as he gets himself in the mix, we want to capitalize on that. So that's where we're going with Willie Z. And yeah, we've got Naap playing with JT. They are stacking him up. We're going to chat about Naap, and we can probably chat about JT at the same time. But we got Will Zalatoris, 35-1. We got Willie Z, plus 500 for a top 5. So that if he's in the mix and doesn't win this thing, we still covered with our bases. So that's the situation there. Our next guy up is going to be the chef, the Min Woo Hype Train Express. Now, this dude is absolutely and utterly just exploding onto the scenes. It's been an incredible start to the year on the East Coast after a very lackluster West Coast performance from Min Woo Lee. I faded him in a matchup against Benny On. Benny On finished 21st, made the cut, played good golf. Min Woo Lee played the par 5s 14 under par. There's only 12 par 5s he played. He made 3 eagles, a par, and the rest were birdies. you cannot run that hot for as long as we're expecting him to. So potentially we just get an incredible performance from him again at 55-1. It's a bit of a FOMO bet, if I'm being completely honest with you, because I don't think he actually very much suits this golf course. Maybe he just figures it out again and rocks and rolls. But if you take a look at where he is on the model, it's like, I think I had to do some manual adjustments. I have no idea where he is on here. It's a very bad situation for Minwoo because his iron play is so atrocious. If we take a look here with the irons, like off the tee, he's 10th in the field in strokes gained. Cool. That's great. Irons over the last calendar year, he's 59th. Remember, there's only 69 people in the field. Like, what on earth is going on in that department? So the irons is ass. The ball striking, even with the distance off the tee like he has, ass. The approach play, like throughout the ranges, yeah. The only thing he does well is hit good shots. And in fact, he hits the most good shots from 100 to 150. And he hasn't played too many PGA Tour events, but he was just dialing it in with the wedges out in Florida. So maybe he likes Florida more than he does the West Coast, but we don't necessarily know that. We like him from an upside play. I don't know. He's going to be $6,600 in DFS, which is going to be chalk city. So I'm thinking I'm just going to be out on Minwoo outside of the outright situation there. We like what he can do around the greens. We like what he can do with the putter on the Bermuda surfaces. He's a phenomenal golfer when it all comes to fruition. But hey, what do we know about Minwoo Lee other than he's played pretty well in Florida, doesn't like the West Coast. So that's the situation there. I think he's steaming. I mean, he finished second at the Cognizant, which is incredible golf. Incredible golf. So the fact that he's 50th in the model is a bit scary, a bit concerning, but hey, we're going to do our thing. We're going to have some fun with him and kind of just get our FOMO out of the way in that department. Minwoo Lee, 55-1. I believe they're pretty much similar numbers out there too. Another guy that's very boom or bust. Another guy that is going to like crush when it comes out of the rough. Now, what's this guy's name? His name is Wyndham Clark. And I need to find him in the model. It's 5th in upside because Wyndham's been doing some good stuff. He obviously won the Pebble Beach Pro-Am in the 3-round event there. If you take a look at what Wyndham does the best, now he's got incredible distance off the tee, 8th in the field in that department. If you take a look at the green and regulation rates, weighted. So that means out of the rough, I've got calculations that are running behind the scenes. This is the back 9 bets with the Model Maniac. Follow me on Twitter over there, by the way, on X. If you take a look at all the weighted proximities, so like at this golf course, there's not going to be a lot of 100 to 150 ranges, which Wyndham Clark, obviously, if you're looking at the 100 to 150, how can his green and regulation rates and strokes gained be that good if this is that bad? Well, at this golf course, there's hardly any of those shots. It's the majority of the shots come from 150 and out. So he's incredible from that range. If you take a look at what he gets up to on the strokes gained approach numbers, it's all like inside the top 25 in this field the moment you dive Wyndham Clark outside of the wedge range. So we're going to see a lot of that. And if you take a look at the green and regulation rate from the rough, Wyndham's 4th in the field from 150 yards and out. That's critical around this venue. It's critical. His strokes gained is 12th. So he's got tons of distance. He's going to be absolutely demolishing it off the tee and having much shorter irons in out of the thick rough than anybody, the majority of the field, is going to have. So we love all of that. The poor shot avoidance is one of the only bad things about Wyndham Clark's game going into this week. So that's the situation there with old Wyndham Clark. We love what he can do. We love him for an outright because his upside, his spike ability is incredible. He can absolutely dominate out of nowhere. He can also completely blow up. So that's the situation. And again, like looking at Will Zalatoris's 100, 150 to 200, it's like pink boxes everywhere. So we love these guys from 150 and out. We love what they can do. We love their prices. Wyndham Clark in particular, finding himself some good stuff. I have a situation that I just changed a formula, so we're going to have to fix that so that stays in check. Perfect. If you take a look at Wyndham Clark's general baseline putting, 31st in the field, but he's actually 5th in the field on Bermuda over the last 50 rounds. So Wyndham loves himself Bermuda. He actually sees one of the best increases from baseline to Bermuda putting in the field. Like he jumps the 5th most up, whatever that means. And his bogey avoidance rate is pretty darn solid. So he's looking good right now. Absolutely love everything about Wyndham Clark. He won, obviously, the Pebble. Hasn't necessarily got any crazy recent performances or course history. But at 60-1, who the heck knows what this guy can do? Theoretically, he's a perfect course fit. So that's the only exposure we're going to be getting to him. If he's cheap in DFS, we'll probably go to him as well. Moving along very swiftly to a very powerful, to a very fun follow on X. He has been interacting with us. He's been interacting with the Outright King. I came to his rescue a little bit because, Benny was having a bit of a struggle, and I can say that my encouragement got him into the top 20 or the top 21 over the weekend, and he started bouncing back. If we take a look at Benny on 11th in the model, 80-1 over on your different sport books that you can find over there. He's been top fiving like a son of a gun. He's been incredibly good from that perspective. His upside is through the floor. His upside is through the floor. His upside is through the roof. He's finished inside the top 5 17% of the time, and inside the top 20 30% of the time. That's crazy. If you think about something like this, you typically want to see a top 5 half of what a top 10 is, a top 10 half of what a top 20 is. His top 10 rate is 22%. So like 1 in every 5 starts, almost 1 in every 4, he's finishing inside the top 10. So Benny On is an upside candidate that you can absolutely hitch your wagon onto. And I think we're going to go to him. He's been playing the 11th best golf in this calendar year since the century. He's incredible when it comes to wedges. That's his best range. But he's also very, very good at hitting good shots from 200 and out. So he's going to be dominating the par 5s. He's also typically a much better putter on Bermuda greens. I think we really struggled out on the West Coast there with some POA. Now, the last 50 on Bermuda is also not the best, is it? So that's not ideal. But if you take a look at what he got up to in Hawaii with the new broomstick, things are looking good. And I'm also going to just go out on a limb and say the last 50 is the majority of those rounds are going to still be before Benny On went to the broomstick. Now that he's on the broomstick, we can take a look at the last few. Just go check what he did in Hawaii. The guy played incredible golf. Every time we jump back onto Bermuda grass, we start finding better results for Benny On. 4th at the Century, 2nd at the Sony, 21st at the Cognizant Classic. Lots to like about Benny On. He's played here a few times. In 2019, he finished 10th. And then I think the putting started going all wacky on him, and he missed a few cuts, finished 43rd, 56th, all that jazz. So he's really, really, really finding some good form. He's an elite around the green gamer. He's a gamer around the greens. 3rd in the field in that department. Incredible out the sand and incredible out the rough. At this golf course, there's not too many like fringy collection areas. It's mainly thick cabbage that you got to hack yourself out of. Like this golf course has got the concrete greens and then where dreams are made of. Shout out to that song. But if your ball lands on the green from far out of the rough, it's going to bounce and then roll and then immediately just lodge itself a foot off the green in cabbage. So you got to be able to chip out of the rough very well, and Benny On does that just fine. So he's got tons of distance, the 5th most distance in the field, and he's been incredible off the tee. He's been incredible around the greens lately as well. And I think Benny On at 80-1, if this like long shot season continues to happen, we are good to go with Benny. I love him. I think he's due a win. Is this the ideal course for him? Maybe not. Prefer a few more wedges in the repertoire there. But we know we're going to go along with Benny On there. So that's what's cooking with Benny On. I am also very, very interested in our next guy. And he's actually the reason we named the show Kitty Kitty Bang Bang. The name of the man at 80-1 is Kurt Kitayama, all the way from wherever he's from, a world traveler. We don't even have him anywhere near where the hell is he? I'm not going to go searching for his name. Kurt Kitayama, 23rd in the model. Okay, that's fine. Right over here, he's obviously a returner. He's won this tournament in his debut appearance, finished 8th at the Waste Management Phoenix Open. So that's the little bit of form he's shown. But what's the most preferable and most exciting part about Kurt Kitayama's situation is the ball striking. He's 8th in the field in ball striking this year. 10th in approach, 18th off the tee. He hits it a country mile. That's very important here. If you take a look at the distance, 22nd in the field, We like to see that. He's inside the top 20 in weighted good shot percentages. He's 28th in strokes gained weighted. So he's a pretty good wedge player. He's also very, very good at hitting good shots from 200 and out. Like he's a very good long iron player. He's first in the field in good shot rate, 15th in the field in strokes gained from 200 and out. And if you think about that, there's these 4 par 5s that we're going to have to deal with. I'm curious as to what his par 5 situation is. Not necessarily the very best, but hey, so be it. He tends to play very good golf at this golf course. His bogey avoidance the last little while has been pretty darn good. He's been playing some good golf. We just love the course fit. He's 80-1. So be it. That's the thing. We saw a top 10 at the Waste Management. Enough form for us to kind of go back to Kurt Kitayama in that world. So that's the situation there with Kitty Kitty Bang Bang. Let's move on to our next guy, Jake Naap. We're going back to this guy. We're going back to the Sandman. He's going to put these people to sleep. He's going to be Nap City, and it's going to be a fun time. Over the last little while, Jake Naap landed up getting paired with Rory McIlroy. He got paired with Rory McIlroy for 3 consecutive rounds, and he landed up scoring better and finishing better than Rory last week. He almost won the Cognizant Classic. So that was insane to see. I am so confused. We got so many people in the chat, and it makes me wonder what on earth is going on here. But maybe we're just having a good week. Thank you all for showing up. Please don't forget to hit the like button. Throw a comment in there just so I know that you guys are real. I don't want to be having like a whole bunch of Russian bots and stuff in the hizzy, yeah. But yeah, who baby Zalatoris? Who's that? Is that Kurt? Is that what you're saying? Oh, Jake Naap. Yeah, I think Jake Naap is almost like a baby Rory. Just a hot take there in that situation. But if you take a look at what Naap's been up to, played amazing at the Cognizant. Finished what? 3rd? 4th? Didn't birdie the final hole. That's after winning at the Mexico. That's after a 3rd at the Farmers. Oh, good, Tony. I'm glad to see you real, because I was having got 245 people watching the show right now, and we got Rory. Be careful, buddy. Be careful. I appreciate you, man. Okay, cool. So that's good. Yeah. 4th time betting Naap in a row. Let's go. That's the thing. We were on him. Were you on him at the wow. So you were on him at the Phoenix and then jumped on at Mexico, where he obviously won, almost won the Cognizant, and then this week again. So let's freaking go, T-Dak. Let's go, bro. I think he's going to do amazing here. He's got incredible distance off the tee. He's exceptional with the long irons. I think his numbers are going to be all jacked up because he doesn't have too much going on. But in his brief stint here on tour, his 150 to 200 yard ranges are popping like popcorn, baby. They're pop rocking and rolling. It's been quite fun for him to hit his mid-range irons in that department. He's also a very good long iron player, I would imagine. I think that 90-1 that we had on Jake Naap was a delightful surprise. Lots to love. Second in the field in distance. His approach play is amazing. We've got this like limited data size that's going to give us some really good output on the approach side of things, like what we're seeing with his club head speed. Holy shit. It's unreal what he can do. Effortless speed, effortless power. I feel like we're really going to see him unleash a few drives in this like situation where the rough gets real thick. He could come down crashing and burning. That could quite easily happen. He's getting paired with Justin Thomas. At this point, I think Justin Thomas is more scared to be playing with Jake Naap than Jake Naap with JT. I'm joking, but that's just kind of the mood and the mode that Jake Naap is in right now. The guy is absolutely playing with confidence abounds. I mean, we've got 3 top 4s in the last 4 starts for the guy. Like, let's freaking go. I love what he can do. I'm excited. 90-1 at a golf course that's potentially built for him. We'll have to see what he gets up to in these big boy fields, but 90-1, delightful stuff. Delightful. Yeah. And the thing is, at Mexico, he played really poorly down the stretch, but you know what? He bounced back. I was expecting nothing but disaster for that round to continue after losing those first 4 strokes early on. Completely and utterly turned his whole situation upside down, kicked himself out the club, and kept it going. I think that was so good to see. And I think he's riding so much confidence right now at a golf course that basically like the Farmers, but on the East Coast edition, a bit more water involved. Maybe the more water, the worse, but hey, he just went around PGA National just fine. Hunky-dory situation there for Jake Naap. Now, if you don't realize what we're up to here, we're just going with absolute. There's a very specific type of golfer that we've put on our card here. We've got Wyndham Clark, Minwoo Lee, Willie Zalatoris, Benny Arndt, Kurt Kitayama, Jake Naap, and now Luke List. What do all of those guys have in common? They are exceptional drivers of the golf ball when they're playing good golf. They are very strong, rough players. They are tee to green superstars, essentially. And Luke List, if you think about what he gets up to at the Farmers, if you think about what he gets up to at the Genesis, where he almost won a few days ago, we can really expect some good stuff from him. I'm scrolling a long way to find his name on the model, but that's okay. We're going to do a maniac override here and bet this guy. We had a 2019 finish of 10th at Bay Hill Club and Lodge, and then it was a disaster since. But remember, Luke List, I think he had a quote out there that said, I was doing a lot of things not the right, like what I was doing was right, but it was the wrong thing that I was doing with the putting. So now his new coach has told him, okay, let's get you doing whatever you do amazing, but you were doing the wrong shit before you were putting your golf ball. You were doing the wrong stuff while putting your golf ball. Let's get you doing the right stuff correctly. And I think we've seen the putter bounce back. So we never really we had a top 40 on him at the Farmers. He couldn't quite pull through for us, but hey, it is what it is. He finished 50th. Then at the Genesis, finished second with Willie Z. So we've got this like little overlap of Farmers, of Genesis, all coming this week. Luke List, folks, sees one of the bigger returns on Bermuda putting surfaces. I guess he goes from like dead last in the field to 46th, which is good. And if you take a look at the last 24 rounds, it's even better. The putting is like 36th in the field. A lot of that has to do with the million strokes he gained at the Genesis. But hey, if that happens again this week, we're in business. Off the tee, 12th in the field, doesn't have a lot of accuracy, potentially going to be a problem here, but he gains the 8th most strokes off the tee on long golf courses, 7,200 yards and longer. If you take a look at his weighted green regulation rate, from these distances, he's exceptional. From 200 and out, he's 8th in the field in strokes gained approach. When you take a look at poor shot avoidance from 200 and out, he's 9th. The problem with his game is a bit of misguidance here in the 150 to 200 yard range, which whatever, he's 110 to 1. You're barely denting your exposure card in that department. So he's very, very good. And that's out of the fairway, okay? If you take a scroll over to the right here, and by the way, this model now is downloadable in my PJ Stat Buffet article that's on my X profile at the Model Maniac. You can look at all these stats on your own if you're in the mood for that. So if you take a look at his good shot rate out of the rough, he's 11th in the field. If you take a look at green regulation rates out of the rough, from 150 and out, he's 8th in the field. Strokes gained, 18th. If we take a look at the key stats here, let me go and flip through a million different tabs here to find the key stats. It's my own model, and I don't even know where the hell half my stuff is. But here it is. I'll zoom in quickly so we can see what's cooking. Key stats at this golf course. Green regulation rates, 55%. Tour average is 66%. So you got to hit greens. It's difficult to do because of the rough. Why? Because the driving accuracy at this golf course is slightly below tour average. If you take a look at the last four and leave 2019 alone, we're sitting at 55%. So slightly below tour average. But when you are in the rough, it's borderline impossible to hit these greens because they're so hard, they're so firm. You got to have immense clubhead speed out of the rough in order to survive that. And he does. You know, he's 12th in distance. So that's exactly what we like about Luke List. He's 110 to 1. There's deficiencies in his game, but he's shown that he's not afraid to win these tournaments. He's a farming thoroughbred. He's won the Sanderson Farms. He's won the Farmers Insurance. And I think he's won the Sandersons twice. I'm not entirely sure. So, like, if anything farm-related is good, I mean, let's go like Florida farming. Yeah. You know, I don't know if there's going to be any correlations in that department, but Arnold Palmer, was he a farmer? Who the heck knows? Maybe back in the day. So Luke List, 57th in the model. Who gives a shit? We're going to him at 110 to 1. We love what he can do. Obviously, he's returned you in the top 5 market as well because he pops. He absolutely pops. So that's where we're going. Potentially also, let's take a quick peek here actually for Luke List for a top 10 or a top 5. Because we want to make sure that if our guy is in the mix for a top 5, we're going to get Luke List at 16-1. Yep, doing that right now. I'm going to change this to a top 5 and make it 16-1. And that's a 6% implied probability. How many times does Luke List finish inside the top 5? 7% of the time. Call it a 1% edge. Who the heck knows what happens? Kind of hedge our bubbles there. We're only going to do it to return a unit or two, but nothing out of the ordinary. You just want to make sure that if he's in the mix and he doesn't win at 16-1, I feel like that's a very fair way to go about betting Luke List. Let's figure out our next outright. We got some Cam. Didn't cover Cam Davis on Sunday. Sure. I will try to remember to do Cam Davis after I get through my outrights. We'll dive into him. In fact, you know what? We're right at it because we got a live ad situation. So let's potentially look at Cam Davis as a live ad. What I want to mention about this live ad situation is we've got 30-1 on our card. It can be 260s, it can be a 30, it can be 390s, whatever. It doesn't have to be anything. If we don't see value, we're not going to play it. But if you take a look at the weather for Saturday, we've got some really, really windy conditions Saturday afternoon, where Saturday morning is going to be a little breezy, but nothing nearly as windy as the afternoon. And when this golf course gets difficult, it gets exponentially more difficult. So you got to take advantage of those good conditions. If you can grab someone that's kind of getting an early tee time that's only 3 or 4, maybe whatever, 5 shots off the lead at a crazy number, going off in ideal conditions, he can go off, have a great round 3, then we are in the mix because the big boys are all going to be fighting the wind. They're going to be dealing with thick cabbage in more drives than they should because the wind's going to be hard to kind of predict off the tee. So we're really going to want to lean into those guys. Cam Davis has been an interesting guy over the last little while. If we take a look at him, not really any upside. He kind of gets a little gun shy when he gets to the top of the leaderboard. We saw him right in the mix at the Genesis. I think he was leading the tournament through 27 holes. And then I think his final 45, he played worse than anybody else in the field. So he broke at the Genesis, basically. Has he played since? No, he hasn't. Like, he was leading the tournament and then finished 49th. I mean, the cut was 50 people, 56 people. No good. But he's one of these guys that, in round 4, he can shine. Par 5 scoring for him is incredible, can make tons and tons of birdies, but his scrambling bogey avoidance at a tough golf course like this is not ideal. Putts a little bit better on Bermuda. That's his kind of jam. Sees the 3rd biggest increase in that department. He's typically very good out of the sand. Most Australians, most South Africans are. It's just, I don't know why, but that's just the situation. The problem with him, I don't really like his long iron play. Out the rough is terrible with the long irons. Out the rough with the wedge, he's rather scintillating. So that's Cam Young's situation. He's pretty good out the fairway from 200 and out, but that's about it. Like his weighted strokes gain stuff, mostly because the rough stuff is going to be a problem. 40% of shots are going to have to come out the rough. And when he's bottom 10 people in the field, that's no good. So unfortunately, I don't have much good to say about Cam Davis outside the fact that we can expect him to hit good drives at this golf course, but the rest of his game is kind of in shambles, especially around the green. The irons off the tee, all that stuff hasn't been very good lately. Course history is shit. Sorry, Cam Davis is no go in my zone yet today. So some guys that I will be targeting for a Saturday comeback are going to be some people like, let's filter on round 1 here or round 3 and see who the hell flies up this leaderboard. And if they're in the mix, they're in the mix. Like, so Rory doesn't typically get off to the fastest starts. 11th and 7th in round 1 and round 2. If we get a bad first round or a second round from Rory out of nowhere, he has not putted very well on his greens historically. If you take a look at his putting at this golf course, yes, he's had a historic up ceiling performance at this venue. He's also putted very badly. If we can expect some stuff and Rory goes off early in the morning on Saturday, he's in the contention for sure. He leads the field in 3rd round scoring. So he can absolutely fly up the board. Not interested in Sungjae, not interested in Russell Henley. Potentially, if Sanjay is playing good golf, though, and makes the weekend in acceptable fashion, maybe we go there. But Sanjay is probably going to shit it down his leg in round 4 anyway, so we'll leave that alone. Sam Burns, another guy. If Sam opened at 22-1. What is his current odds on DraftKings? It's disgusting odds. He's 25-1 right now. Like, maybe that's better. I think there was 20s on Sam Burns to start. That's not going to work. So, but round 4 and round 3 is inside the top 10 in strokes gained. His round 2 is a bit of a concern. So maybe he has a bit of a bad round 2. Then we dive in on Sam Burns. He's an option for sure. Tommy Fleetwood. Talk about just flying up the leaderboard on Saturdays. Tommy Fleetwood's 5th in the field in round 3 strokes gained. Willie Z, we've already got him going on here. Victor Hovland, 7th in the field. Like, love that. I think he's absolutely a consideration for us going forward. So we've got these big names that we really got an eye on. And I will narrow it down to Sam Burns, Victor, Rory, and Tommy. Let's go with those 4 as options we're going to really look to identify. Potentially Scotty Sheffer as well. He doesn't have the best round 3 performance compared to the fact that he's 1st and 2nd in pretty much every other stat for the rounds either side of round 3. But even if he's like way down the board, his odds might not be in the 30 range. Who the heck knows? I think he landed up winning this tournament doing just that. He went out early on a Saturday and fired up the leaderboard. Boom chakalaka, Scotty Sheffer is your Arnold Palmer Invitational winner 2 days later. So that's kind of the blueprint there for the 30-1 ads. We might try and get 2. We might try and get 1. Who knows? We'll see where they go. So that's the situation. That's where we're going for the outright market. Let's take a look at some placement bets. Now, I cannot bet Jordan Spieth outright. I cannot do it. I cannot. I simply cannot. Maybe we find him in the live ad market, but at the same time, I don't want to deal with him, whatever. Jordan Spieth, though, is 8th in the model for safety. That's a bit more long-term stats over here. He's 14th in recent form. That's okay. He took a dump at the Genesis, got disqualified for that. It is what it is. Finished 6th at the Phoenix, completely went nuts around the greens and on the greens outside of missing 1 or 2 shorties. So that's what we're doing with Jordan Spieth, is trying to identify some upside with him without having the heartbreak of missing out on the outright as it might inevitably happen again. So Jordan Spieth for a top 5 is plus 350 right now. Jordan Spieth, folks, if you take a look at what he's been up to, his top 5 rate is 33%. So 1 in every 3, he's finishing inside the top 5 in his last few starts. If you take a look at, what's that, 350-1, it's a 22% rate. So there's an 11% edge historically on Jordan Spieth. If you go to top 10, which we're also going to be doing at plus 180, he does that at a 44% clip, which the plus 180 odds is telling us it's 36%. So there's a lot to like about Spieth here from an upside perspective. When he pops, he pops. And I haven't even got to the best part here. He's leading the field of this calendar year with the best strokes gained around the greens, and he's 14th off the tee. He's got that dad strength going on pretty good right now for Spiethy. So I think we've got a 6th at the Phoenix, we've got a 3rd at the Sentry, and we've got 2 4th-place finishes at this golf course. He plays good golf at Bay Hill Club and Lodge. He plays really good golf at Bay Hill Club and Lodge. He's a potential round 1 candidate for sure. Once he gets into the tournament, though, he starts getting a little rattled and kind of has a bit of a wobble in the middle of the round 1, round 2, round 3. So we'll see what cooks in that situation, but we love what Spieth can do. He's been scrambling his face off. He likes Bermuda putting. We like him for a top 5 at plus 350, and we like him for a top 10 at plus 180. Jordan Spieth. We're not going to deal with that heartbreak. We're not going to deal with any of that nonsense from Spieth from an outright situation, but we're going to bet him in the 2 most profitable markets that he has, and that's top 10 and that's top 5, where he's returned you an average of about $300 in each over the last 12 months if you are betting to win $100 per tournament. What's up, Darbo in the house, my friend? Welcome to the show. We have got ourselves quite the audience this evening. Apparently, a few of them are not sex bots. That's only been confirmed by about 5 people. There's a whole bunch of them still in the chat that I'm not quite sure have confirmed that they are not working for Russia. But hey, We'll go along with the show until further notice. Next up, we have Cameron Young, who is fourth in the model, I believe. If it lets us do anything, yeah. Look, Darbo shows up and my model starts slowing down. It's been totally fine until right now. So thank you, Darbo. I appreciate you showing up and absolutely causing chaos. But hey, it is what it is. Okay, so Cameron Young. If we take a look at what Cam Young gets up to, the last 12 months have been a complete abomination. He's been exceptionally shit. He's not been good. But he's lost you money in every department. He hasn't finished inside, like, I think he had a top 5 finish last week. So I haven't updated that because it took forever for stuff to come through. But if you take a look at what Cam Young's been up to, his 2 starts at this venue, 13th and 10th. Those are 2 top 20 finishes. Then his last 3 starts. At the Phoenix, he finished 8th. At the Genesis, he finished 16th. And then at the Cognizance, he finished 4th. At the Genesis, he was 4 over par through the first 9 holes and finished 16th. So he really climbed that leaderboard like a monkey, and it was impressive. It was like Godzilla type stuff. King Kong situation there for no idea where I'm going with the Cam Young reference there, but it is what it is. Tons of people betting Cam Young outright. The heartbreak is as paramount as Spieth's when it comes to those 2 guys trying to bet them to win. I don't know what to tell you. I don't know why they can't quite get it together, but we're going to be betting them both for placement finishes. So we're going to ride that with you, but we're just going to enjoy if they don't win. So that's kind of how we're going to roll with these 2 very popular guys. Phoebe's whining as well because she likes Cam Young for a top 20 at minus 120 over at Bet365 where they pay ties in full. I think if you take a look at his odds on DraftKings, you're going to be finding Cam Young at minus 105. So you're going to get minus 105, minus 120. I'll take the ties in full in a smaller field. Why the hell not? We want a threshold. If you're a first time, I'm assuming a lot of you are first timers at the show because I don't think I've ever had 312 people watching at one time. I don't know what is going on, but I typically like to say the odds you bet, you want to times the first 2 numbers by 3. So if it's minus 120, or say, let's just say plus 100, times the 10 by 3, it's going to give you 30. You need your odds to be better by 30 points in order to bet the odds that don't have ties paid in full, if that makes any sense. If you're going to bet a guy that's plus 300, you're going to need almost plus 400 in order to get there, because if you take 3 times 3 is 9, you need 90 points of value, and that's going to get you to plus 390, plus 400 range in order to take it without the ties. You want 30 points per 100-point band in order to get those ties paid out in full for you guys. So that's basically how we want to rock and roll. I know people love a good wig and a good shirt, and we've got both. But let's dive back into the model here. All righty. I think I saw some other Jger also in the house. Mexico was very impressive with Jake Naap. Yes, it was. All right, so that's Cameron Young for you. We love what he can get up to. We love what he's got up to lately. So that's the situation with Cam Young. The ball striking, I mean, over the last calendar year, it's 4th in the field. It's just the short game that's let him down. And if that pops, he can win this tournament easily. I fully believe that. There's no denying this guy doesn't have talent. I mean, he's played exceptional golf in majors. He plays his big boy golf courses so freaking well. So again, we've got guys that are going to be just extremely good off the tee. We're going to have guys that are extremely good with weighted proximity. I mean, the strokes gain numbers for him, he's pretty good with the wedges, but he's also pretty solid. Okay. You know, like his strokes gain, his good shots from 150 to 200 are like top 30. It is what it is. But then you get out the rough, and that's where you start shining because of that strength, because of that ball speed. 14th in strokes gained out the rough, 7th in green regulation rates, 7th in good shot rates. So he can dial it in out of the rough from far. Put him in the rough with the wedge in his hand, and the field's going to lap him. Like, he's pretty shit with that situation. So if he can just ball strike this place to death like he's been doing, we're in business, folks. We are in business. Next up, Steven Jger, plus 180. If you take a look at old Steven Jger bombs, his recent form not really kind of doing him too much justice after the miscut there at the Cognizant, but his safety ranking is 7th in the model. So his long-term ball striking numbers, his long-term metrics, the model is really, really liking from him. If you take a look at what Jger gets up to, his weighted green regulation rates are 4th in the field. Incredible, incredible, incredible stuff. We want to hit greens at this venue. He avoids the bad shots, the 9th most in the field. If you take a look at his driving distance, that's from 2023. Recently, the drive has been much better. It's 22nd in the field, so he's moving in the right direction. He once again led the Cognizant Classic, aka the Honda Classic. He's now led that field twice in strokes gained off the tee. So he loves Florida golf courses. He can dial in the driver very nicely. And if we take a look at what he gets up to out the rough, it's most likely exceptional. He's second in the field in strokes gained out the rough from 150 and out. First in the field in hitting green regulations out the rough. He's so good. Now, I don't know how well that translates to the thick cabbage that we have at Bay Hill, but it's still very promising to see good rough numbers. From 150 to 200, he doesn't hit bad shots, which is also not a bad metric to have around Bay Hill because there's water all over the place. And I think that's the situation you find yourself in. So, yeah, deal with that how you want. But Steven Jger is going to finish inside the top 20. He missed, I think, his first cut in a hot minute last week. Made 92% of his cuts. And guess what? We were heavily invested on him last week, and he shit the bed. His upside's a little rough. You know, he doesn't quite get inside the top 5, top 10 as much as everybody else, but he's also going to be very affordable. What's Steven Jger in the outright market right now? I don't think he's too crazy. Got to scroll quite a long way to kind of find him. So, yeah, Steven Jger, 90 to 1. That's not a terrible number if you believe he's going to win. But Steven Jger on DraftKings is plus 240 for a... You see, that would be a situation where you can go and bet the better number there because that's 60 on the money. So either side of that, you're probably going to go... If it's plus 230, we go with the tires paid in full. We're just going to roll with the tires paid in full because I feel like Jger is going to be a little closer to the situation where we don't quite want him to be flirting with that top 20 rate. But if you take a look at Jger, 36% of the time, so 1/3 of the time, he's finishing inside the top 20. There's only 69 people in the field. This year he's had 1, 2, 3 top 20 performances in 6 starts. So he's doing it in this calendar year at a 50% rate. So we like to see that. Back in 2022, when he wasn't as good of a driver, he finished 52nd at this place. So made the cut at least. That's good to know. He's a much better golfer right now. The people on Twitter are asking questions. Let's see what they have to say here. Time for Scotty one and done this week, or would you lean Rory or another direction entirely? You know where, Chucky, I would go is Viktor Hovland. I would go to Viktor Hovland. Take a look at where he is on the model. Like he's all the way down here in like 34th for me. If you take it, people aren't going to be wanting to go to Hovland, potentially. His like around the green play has been terrible. His strokes gained approach have been very bad. But if you take a look at what happened, it was all complete shit until the Genesis. He even took the week off from the Waste Management. He was supposed to play there, missed that tournament. He withdrew so that he could go find his coach and find his swing. And it seems like he did. His ball striking at the Genesis, completely better. Like it's the stuff we've seen from Viktor typically. Now we go to a golf course that Viktor Hovland thrives from. And so was Scott. Scotty's also made for this place, but I feel like Victor's a very good contrarian play in a one and done format, which I'll probably be going to him at because I don't like Viktor from a betting perspective because I think his odds are still pretty crap. I mean, he's 16 to 1. He opened at 12. You know, I think I might have gone to the 16 had I not gone crazy with everybody else and it drifted back. But where the hell were we? Viktor Hovland, where are you? I need to find him again because I want to show. You know how we're going to find Viktor Hovland? Is strokes gained out of the rough. We're going to look for a number 1 and look for good shots because that's Viktor Hovland right here. He's the first in strokes gained or good shot rate out of the rough. He's also third in strokes gained out the rough from 150 and out. This place has got tons of rough. We've mentioned it many, many times. Hits the 6th most green regulations, and that's perfect from Viktor. So we love what he can do. He's also exceptionally good from 150 to 200. So like the iron play is going to be very, very enticing from Hovland. It's just whether or not he brings it because he's got it. is it going to just show up with him? So we'll see what happens there. We'll see what he can do. I'm excited for him. I just couldn't expose myself to him in any other situation. Probably going to play him in DFS. Probably going to play him in one and done. That's my one and done option this week for you guys. So that's Victor for y'all. Appreciate that. Xander he's interesting because top 20 is minus 225. Disgusting numbers, but he's never finished inside the top 20 here before. I don't know what the deal is. Typically, he hasn't driven the ball very well. If you take a look at his strokes gained, it's pretty good from far. Like, he's exceptionally good from 200 and out. He's like one of the best in the world. Like elite stuff. And from 150 and out, he gains so many strokes. But I don't know what his deal is here. Sometimes it just, maybe he doesn't have tons of accuracy mixed in with his distance, but his distance has been great. So this year, I think he's definitely shown up with extra distance recently. Obviously, these guys on the tour now are kind of just trying to maul it out there, which might be another reason why we've seen all these random people win, because I think a lot of these golfers are like speed training and trying to like hit the ball further. You're not in complete control of your swing. And maybe a lot of these elite guys are going to, potentially be the more volatile and faster you swing at a golf ball, the less likely you can repeat that. And maybe that's why these top guys are like struggling. But also I don't think Xander's going to win. I've said that on pretty much every podcast I've been on the last little while. He's exceptionally good. I mean, the recent forms, all like everything's there except for the win. He just can't get it together. And I think what I want to do with Xander, we mentioned a live outright ad at some point. I don't mind a Xander Schauffele bet for a top 10 or a top 20 after a bad round. It's happening. I can assure you of that. He's not going to have 3 consecutive rounds where he gains, or 4 consecutive rounds where he gains plus 1.5, plus 2 strokes. He's going to have a round where it is neutral, like he gains no strokes or loses strokes. And then you can expect the next round after that is going to be the best round of his week. That's just how it goes. Or the best round of the week would come before that kind of thing. So you always want to keep an eye out for Xander. He's going to have a bad round. I'm calling it now. It's not a surprise. If you go look at his round by round stuff, it will pop up. Bet him right after that because he's going to bounce back. But I don't know about the course fit. I don't like his odds. His odds are so short. He's 16-1 as well. Like, he's minus 165, I guess, over at DraftKings for a top 20. Isn't terrible. But maybe we actually even minus 165 at DraftKings isn't as bad as I expected. 62% of the time, he does it 68% of the time. But the course history is giving me a bit of a concern here. I'm going to wait for a live bet. You can probably get better numbers for Xander in that department. Other bets we have. Scotty's made for this place, Rory. I totally agree, dude. Like, totally agree. Grant, thanks for showing up. You're from the X Factor, the X Twitter world there. I appreciate you jumping into the chat. Don't forget to hit the like button so that everybody can see this video for their beautiful viewing pleasure with the hairdo over here. Let's look at a few more placement bets before we get out of here. Another guy we kind of in the mood for is Matt Fitzpatrick. Now, Matt Fitzpatrick is going to be like 33rd in the model, I think. All the way down here. I need 31st in the model recently. He's been playing like a clown. If you take a look at his recent form, 44th in the field. Disgusting. Like, nothing is inside the top 25. Around the green play, 27th. That's his best ability. He's such a good scrambler. This year, it's been complete disaster stuff. Now, typically, I'm just going to jump to the whole caveat here. All the way to the right-hand side over here. Let me scroll up. Matt Fitzpatrick, since 2019 at Bay Hill. Now, let me just remind you, Augusta is in tier 1 of course history predictability. If you've played well at Augusta, the likelihood that you're going to go back there and play well again, very good. It's like the number 1 most course-heavy course history predictability correlation there is on the PGA Tour. Then there's like 4 or 5 other courses that are like in tier 2 that aren't nearly as predictable as Augusta, but still quite predictable and way more predictable than the rest of the courses. Bay Hill Club and Lodge, because of the unique way that you have to drive the ball and hit the long irons, it separates the field like cream. And Matthew Fitzpatrick has finished 2nd, 9th, 10th, 9th, and 14th in 5 consecutive appearances at this venue. Like, it's just green across the board. I'll unhighlight it here. Like, check it, that green. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful stuff. Corey Connors is on the same trajectory after 2 missed cuts in the 2020 and 2019. Took Corey Connors getting COVID in order to play good at Bay Hill. Another guy, Keegan Bradley, has played exceptionally good golf here, 10th, 11th, and 10th. We'll get to Keegan Bradley here shortly. So we love Fitz. We love what Fitz can do at this golf course. The course history is delightful. He's plus 110 over at DraftKings. He's minus 120 over at Bet365 for a top 20. He finishes inside the top 20 about 43% of the time over the last 12 months. But he's finished inside the top 20 100% of the time the last 5 years he's played here. So we love that bet. We love that bet. So we're going to go to Fitz in that department. Whew. There we go. And those are our placements. So that's what we're doing. Now we have the Farewell Fiver. But before we even do that, we're going to go to Cam Young as well. And Cam Young is going to be our single bullet first round leader over at Bet365. If you take a look at what Cam Young gets up to, great course fit, great course history. We've spoken about why we like him for a top, top 20. He's got a 10th and a 13th here, played great, and the recent form has been nuts. The majority of those finishes have been because Cam Young has gone bananas in round 1. His strokes gained is 13th in round 1 versus the field, and everything else for round 2 and round 3 is 53rd and 62nd. So we're going to have to really capitalize on Cam Young for first round leader. I love him for a top 5. That's plus 825, I think. I think BetMGM is a top 5 that pays out plus 500. So if you bet the first round leader each way, you're getting a nice little double dip. Hopefully there's no ties in that market. But his round 1 numbers have been incredible. We bet him for over 4.5 birdies with the people that bet the number. We've been crushing the round by round, hole by hole stuff last week, where we bet Cam Young to make 4.5 birdies in the round 1. He did it in the first 9. He made 5 birdies in the first 9 holes. So his round 1 stuff is through the roof. Love this course fit. 33-1 for a first round leader as a little single bullet sprinkle for Cam Young. Definitely on the cards. And now we're going to pull up our Farewell Fiver to get the hell out of here. And it is I think it's like a 6-person parlay. And because it's 2 balls, we got 2 balls. I'm also going to take down this thing because we can't see it properly and zoom in nicely so you guys can see what's cooking here. Okay. So the first leg is Steven Jger. We've spoken about Steven Jger, how he likes to drive the golf ball around here. If we go take a look at Steven Jager's situation, he's pretty darn solid when it comes to round 1 scoring as well. He makes a lot of good moves early in the week and then kind of falls apart as the week unfolds. 17th in the field in round 1 strokes gained average, 48th and 54th in round 3 and round 4. There's typically a weekend round that he kind of ejects himself from contention. He's going up against CT Pan. From what I know about CT Pan, I don't even have to look at his stats. He's probably all the way down here at the bottom of the model. When CT Pan pops, he pops, but he's not a very good round 1, round 2 starter. He's also not got a lot of length. He doesn't have a lot of he's got some accuracy, but he's not an ideal fit for this golf course. So that's the first matchup we love. Chris Kirk has got incredible course history here too. If you go over here, we can pull up Chris Kirk. I think he's like 17th in the model. It's incredible what he gets up to. What's he in the model? Yeah. 22nd, 27th. If you go over to course history though, Chris Kirk, 15th, 8th, 5th, and 39th. He loves Florida. He absolutely loves Florida. So we love Chris Kirk and we love him a lot more than Lee Hodges. I don't think Lee Hodges is anybody we're going to be too scared about at this golf course. I mean, he's all the way down here in the model, has never made a cut at this venue. His only good start was at the Genesis, has been missing cuts like crazy. So I love Chris Kirk over Lee Hodges there. We're getting minus 190. Obviously, that's a good favorite bet there. Who knows what happens? Patrick Cantley in round 1 has been incredible. If you take a look at round 1 scoring averages, we can actually just filter on them. Cantley's going to pop up 3rd. Matthew Fitzpatrick is all the way down here in the bottom. Where is he at? 34th. Fitz gets off to slow starts. In round 2, he typically bounces back. Then he shits the bed in round 3, bounces back in round 4. That's just what Fitz gets up to. That's why he's frustrating to bet. But he does like this golf course, so we're taking a bit of a gamble there. But we like what he can do in round 2. We love what Cantley can do in round 1. Sungjae's broken, in my opinion. So we got some really nice odd, like a minus 110 to spruce this up a little bit. The bet pays out at plus 21 to 1, basically. 22 to 1, plus 21.83 is what the odds are. So it's basically $5 to win like almost 110. So that's what we like there. So Hith, I think, can scramble his face off on this golf course. Sungjae's game is broken. The iron play, the driver, the putting, it's all been disastrously bad. We like Sahith the most out of this pairing here. We're going to take a shot at that and see where it goes. Cam Young, if we like him for a first-round leader, we got to like him against Lucas Glover in round 1. So we're going to take that at minus 180. And then Keegan Bradley has played phenomenal golf at this golf course. And if you take a look at round 1 scoring, Bradley kind of pops up 28th. Justin Rose is all the way down over here in 50th. So he gets off to a slow start usually, and then he bounces back in round 2, and kind of coasts over the weekend. So Justin Rose is definitely like a round 2 showdown guy. Keegan Bradley, definitely looking to target him against Rose in round 1 there. So that's our farewell fiver. And that's how the show is going to kind of end. For all of you that are in the show here, in the chat, don't forget to hit the like button on the way out. I thoroughly and really and truly appreciate you guys. I cannot believe that we have 347 of you guys in the chat. I'm utterly blown away. Like I got nervous. Like halfway through the show, I was getting nervous. Like I couldn't believe what was going on. I appreciate you all. Don't forget to use code MANIAC if you're interested in signing up for the model, if you're interested in signing up for the Showdown model, if you're interested in joining the Discord where me and Spencer and Joe Idoni post all our in-tournament stuff. We have got a very affordable package over there at Rotoballer. Please, please, please consider joining over there. We would really appreciate and love having you there. Thank you for showing up to the show. Tomorrow night, I will have B-Rad Thomas from NBC Sports Edge on the show to be doing Schitt's Creek, hacking it in Hollywood. We're going to be chatting some final thoughts on the week and then just having a good time chatting, getting to know Brad, who's an awesome personality. We're going to rock the wig again because Brad has got some mean hair. So for once on my show, I will not have the best hairdo. Brad's definitely going to have it because it's his hair. And I look forward to chatting to him. So till then, folks, go check out our Rotoballer PGA show on the Rotoballer Fantasy Sports channel on YouTube. And also check out my research stream if you're looking for other guys. I've timestamped it there so you can find each person I've deep dived on Sunday night. I'll be doing that again on Sunday night coming up for the players. We'll deep dive pretty much everybody that we like that week. And it's a 3.5-hour show. So those timestamps are really handy if you're not in the mood to hang out with me for that long. Cool. Bananas. We will catch you guys later. Thank you all for joining. Really, really appreciate that. And we'll see you tomorrow night. Cheers.